The Nolan Variations by Shone. This is a book that's like a biography of Christopher Nolan, but it's a little more in depth, going through his movies and his philosophy. Basically gives you a whole tour of the Nolan library and philosophy from his beginnings to Dunkirk. And I think at the point that this book was being written, he was in process of making Tenet, so fairly recent. This book was a natural move for me because I am confident that this is the only director that I'm positive that I've seen every movie that he's made. There's just something about a movie that he makes that is interesting to me, even if the movie would be average by other standards. The best example that I can think of was the year that The Dark Knight Rises came out, because earlier in that year I saw The Amazing Spider-Man, and I did not like that movie. I thought it was like reading a manual of like, oh, this sad thing happened, feel sad. Oh, this good thing happened, feel good. There was something that just hurt watching that movie, and not just for that movie, but it made all movies feel like this repetitive exercise. It's like the magic was just sucked out of it. I kind of had that in my mind had summer, this new depressing idea that movies were all an illusion. But then The Dark Knight Rises came out, and when I watched that, it's like the magic was back in the movies. There was something exciting, something energetic that was in that movie that wasn't in The Amazing Spider-Man. And more than just that movie, I think it was the whole trilogy, like how it all wrapped up into one, in my view, great storyline. And it's funny, I can say that even though there were things in The Dark Knight Rises that I was so on, lines of dialogue that I don't think were that great, or side characters, like I can nitpick a bit, but there is something underneath the surface that I think is magical. That's why I love Christopher Nolan, and I'm excited about his next project, the biopic of Oppenheimer. So I think that's next year that comes out. Anyway, so Nolan has lived an interesting life. He's been fascinated by film for all of his life, and he talks about the first time that he saw a Ridley Scott movie where he could pause it, watch it and rewind, pause it again, watch it and fast forward, and he thought that the film lived in a dimension of time that humans did not. Like humans, we go from one moment to another, but film, like you can capture and see time from a completely different way, which is a theme in all of his movies. Time is an interesting topic for him. It's also amazing to look at how his career has skyrocketed like none other. He went from making a Memento in 2000 to doing Batman Begins, The Prestige, and all these high profile pictures to where by the end of the decade, like he could do anything he wanted. He was Superman of directors. Also, from this book, I've concluded that if I'm ever asked, what celebrity would you like to have a conversation with? You can pick any celebrity. I would definitely choose Christopher Nolan. That is the right choice. The author, he has the coolest job. Like he got to interview Christopher Nolan and ask him all these questions about his movies, and he talks about all these side issues that they brought up. And I'm going to list off a few of the examples of questions that he was debating with Christopher Nolan. For the first question, how much time passes in the course of a movie? So think of a movie like Star Wars, or Tootsie was the movie that they talked about. Like from the beginning to the end, was that a period of weeks, months, years? It's a surprisingly hard question to answer, and I'd never thought of that before, but that's a good one. They talked about the availability of information, and Christopher Nolan challenged the author to go to a library, grab a book, a nonfiction book, open it to a random page, point to a fact, and then see if you can find that fact by Googling it. And then do that 10 times and try and guess how many of those, out of those 10, you'll be able to verify on Google. Christopher Nolan was speculative that it was very low. So this is an experiment I still need to do one day. They also had a long ongoing debate about how you could define the terms left and right without referring to external things. So you can't say, north and west, because north, you're talking about the North Pole, and you're using Earth as a frame of reference. And so the author said, what about your heart? It's always on the left side. And then Christopher Nolan brought up, well, there's this rare condition where your heart's on the right side. It was 1 out of every 12,000 people or something. So that doesn't exactly work either. Anyway, it's cool like how they had this back and forth about these random philosophical ideas. And I feel like I can do that all day.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Especially with an interesting guy like Christopher Nolan. So I give this book a solid 4.5 stars because it was just fun and interesting and a must-read for anyone who likes Christopher Nolan movies. And if you have any further recommendations, leave them in the comments below.